Greetings, commanders! At last, the time has come when you can confidentially declare that the regiment under your command is ready to face off against the strongest opponents in the World War and prove its superiority. We will aid in this endeavor by explaining how this mod works and revealing some of its secrets along the way. This guide is designed for commanders and divided into two parts. The first part is all about the commander function, and the second part is devoted to the operation map. For regiment soldiers, we have prepared a separate guide on our channel. Beautiful, isn't it? But your target is a little lower on the surface. Operations are famous historical battles that sometimes lasted for months. Operations in War Thunder and those battles have not only mutual point on the map together with the vehicles corresponding to that time period. Other types of operations are possible, of course, but we focus on the battles of the Second World War and the Great Patriotic War. To participate in an operation, first you need a full-fledged regiment, and one with a large number of active soldiers if possible, as otherwise, there is a good chance that you simply won't have the strength for multiple simultaneous battles. We also strongly recommend you to set out your regiment's information correctly and appoint a deputy and officers. They are on equal footing with the regiment commander and have full powers to control the regiment in World War mode. Ready? Time to choose the battlefield. The operation. The list of available battles is on the right side of the interface. You can also select an operation directly on the globe. Either option will show you which nations are taking part in the operation and if you can participate. So you've picked an operation. The next big step is choosing your side. You select one of the nations participating in the operation and fight on its side. From this point until the end of the operation, you and all the soldiers in your regiment will only be able to use this nation's vehicles. So it's a good idea to check in advance whether your troops have the necessary vehicles. After performing these actions, your regiment will be plunged into its first large-scale battle. This is the most critical part for you as the commander, controlling your armies. Commander function. In front of you is the tactical panel, divided into two parts. The map with the army pieces and the control and additional information. We'll start with that. Objectives. In other words, the reason why you're all fighting. The operations objectives are the key targets that will bring victory to one of the sides. Objectives are laid out fairly simple, and there are multiple ways to fulfill them. You can decide not to direct your regiment to capture swaths of territory, and instead focus our efforts on controlling a few key zones, which will secure you a quick and highly efficient victory. You are the commander, so you decide the tactics. Tip: hover the cursor over a sector capture objective, and the relevant sectors will be highlighted on the tactical map. Click to find out the opponent's objectives. Log. This is where you came to keep track of things when there are numerous events happening on the map. The log records the current actions of armies and past events, including battles. Hover the cursor over an event to see the army's situations and find out its latest actions. If you familiarize yourself with the log, you'll be in for far fewer nasty shocks. Now let's move on to the function that you will be using most often. We go down a little further and see 4 tabs. The first of which is Commanders. This tab displays information about the regiments participating in the operations. This might come in handy if you are already familiar with the tactics of the enemy commanders or you want to contact allied regiments. Keep experimenting. You have our full encouragement. Reinforcements. Now this is really important. The forces you control at the start of the operation are not all the forces available to you. Over time, new armies will arrive, which you can deploy in rare sections and use to possibly reverse the tide of battle. The arrival time of reinforcements is displayed next to the army in this list. To deploy an army, select an available one from the list and right-click on one of the rare sectors. They are darker than normal sectors. The secret is that the more key zones you have, the faster reinforcements arrive. Airfields. As you've already guessed, it's time to talk about aviation. It's a little more complicated than normal armies, which are constantly located on the map in the form of pieces. Here you decide the composition of the army that will take off from the airfield. Let's try assembling an aviation army and learn how it works. To do this, we'll not use a previously formed army, but assemble our own. Go to the map and find your airfield. Select it and choose a target on the map. Right-click to give the order for takeoff. Now we see a window where we can choose which of the available aircraft will be included in the army and what additional armament they will get. Suspended bombs. If you load one 250-kilogram bomb at the airfield, every aircraft in the army is restricted to one bomb for the entire flight. Your soldiers won't find Allied airfields during battles, and they will only be able to leave the battle in a specially designated area. Fuel. If you assemble an army that contains aircraft with a low fight range, the entire army will be limited to this range. We never leave a man behind, so take this into account. Speaking of airfields, you can't bomb them, so sending bombers to enemy airstrips is pointless, at least in the current World War mode. Capturing airstrips, on the other hand, is always fun, so look after your planes. Armies. Here is the final tab. Nothing too complicated. Just like with the airfields, it lets you view all available ground armies. Who's doing what and how many there are in total. Like the log, it helps you quickly identify idle armies in the heat of battle and give them a job. And next is the lowest block, the statistics for the selected army. We will look at it together with the operation map.